Um, Now that we've seen these changes, though, um, there's so many new changes that are coming back now. Like the wearables. I have an Apple Watch. I have an Aura Ring,
Yeah.
and
Now that's you're doubling up. You're like one or the other, but
I
that
know, I know.
uh,
Well, I'll tell you the reason I got the Aura Ring is that I saw a report when it first came out that the Apple Watch has what Chris, my husband, calls the rings of shame. Because
oh
if you don't complete your rings every day,
yeah, yeah.
it kind of shames you. So
Well, we're in this era. I'm a golfer,
yeah,
and golf simulators and this track man.
yeah.
We are in an era of data, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
whether it's artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, we are consumers of data, and we want to know the nitty gritty. And so I think some of the fitness industry it's just mirroring that. We don't want to go on a walk without knowing how many steps we take.
Right. Or how
I,
long or
yeah.
how fast we
So
go.
yeah, the pendulum swings in everything, right? It goes back and forth. I predict in the future they will say you need to get rid of these watches, and you need, but we're in it right now. We're
Right.
in it, and so along with information of what my body is doing, you've got all of these kind of all of these things that we put in the bucket of recovery, right?
Right.
So there's exercise, and then you have this whole other bucket that has emerged of recovery. Like maybe when you and I were working out, there was something called a cool down, you
Yeah.
know. Then massage started. Well, we know where massage is today. I
Right.
mean, there is. I was just watching the U.S. Open for the last several weeks. I mean, the team they have around them, half that team is for recovery,
Yes.
right? So we've got stretching, we've got massage, we've got now those are proven things. We can talk about a little bit at all, but there is lots of stuff on the market that the consumers kind of get duped on. You and I are scientists, right?
Yes.
We're researchers, we're scientists. That's the way our brain thinks. Where's the proof? Is this just a correlation, or is this outcome? You know, and we can see through a lot of these things. So let's talk about. There was an exercise physiologist that wrote a book about all these, and I can't remember the title, but she went through so many of these fad things. She started with Gatorade. There is not
Um,
one scientific study of Gatorade that doesn't come from the Gatorade Institute. So you gotta, like, what is it really
yes.
doing? So then we go into things like cryo, right? These
Yeah.
these cryo treatments. And it's not that getting your body numb may relieve some pain, but some of the claims, you and I as scientists, where's the scientific evidence? There is
Right.
none. So then we go into infrared sauna,
Hmm.
all the magical claims, no scientific research behind that. Then, you might have loved Tom Brady as a quarterback, but he sells his line of TB recovery. He has a pair of copper infused pajamas for $250 that he
Wow.
swears will make you a millionaire and prove your smile and whatever else you need. But there's no scientific evidence of that.
Right.
Cold plunges, all of these things. So consumer beware. If it feels good to you, that's fine, but I would not. So why is everybody wearing the weighted vests right now? They're
Right.
because it's exploded on social media.
Right.
Okay. So the exercise physiologist that I listened to on the radio being interviewed about it said, there is little to no scientific evidence for all of these claims. I mean, some of these claims are really quite remarkable. And what I think is when I see older people wearing 10 or 15-pound weighted vests, I want to yell, do you know that every one of those pounds is putting 4 pounds of pressure on your already arthritic knee?
Joints.
So if
Yeah.
you're walking around in a 10-pound vest, you're putting 40 pounds of pressure on your knee. And if
Yes.
you're over 50, your meniscus is probably gone.
Right.
So those are, I think a lot of these will be fads because,
Yes.
as we know, fitness is a fad industry. What I don't think is going to be a fad is assisted stretching, one-on-one
Right.
assisted stretching. um what, 5 years now we've kind of really been, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And so you live in a much bigger area than I do, but even in my little town of Lexington, Kentucky, 300,000 people, we started popping up these corporate stretching facilities,
Right.
these big brand name. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I didn't know anything about them. And so I actually sent a client or two. I'm like, well, hey, why don't you try, if you don't want to stretch yourself. And then I happened to hire a young man who was getting ready for his wedding, and he very smart, master's exercise phys, very experienced, but he wanted to make a little extra money because he was getting married. And so he went to work at one of these places, and then he came to work for me. So I just started asking him some questions. And I found out, I was really shocked that the two big corporate chains that are out there, and they're here in my town, do not require any kind of minimum education to be a part of their staff, which was really surprising to me. They did give you their own online. I can't remember. It was something in hours, a little course. And this person who had a master's in exercise physiology said, for me, that was somewhat relevant and somewhat redundant, but he said, but someone who never had an exercise physiology or kinesiology class, I have no idea what they would really take from that.
Right.
Well, so number one, I immediately stopped sending people to those corporate places. And then two, we hooked
We
up
did the
and we said,
course.
we need to make a course that educated trainers can
Yes.
add to their education to become a mobility and flexibility specialist. And we,
Yes.
and we had this young man produce the class, and we're very proud of that.
We are. And trainers, it's such a huge benefit for them because maybe it's an extra income. They're not leaving money on the table, but for the
Absolutely.
consumer, it's an added value. They go to their
Yes.
trainer that they like, that they trust, that they've been with 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
and they can do assisted stretching
Yeah,
with
and that
them.
trainer knows that client and
Yes.
knows, some of the limitations. I'll just give you. I mean, this may be a little deeper dive than most people want to know, but one of our clients had an accident recently where she broke her way up high, her humerus. She fractured, which is that really complicated area of the rotator cuff. And I don't know if you're aware, but they have about 10 years ago, 8 or 10 years ago, they started doing a surgery called a reverse shoulder,
Yes. I've heard
right?
they've
So
mentioned that to
they
my
they
husband.
yeah, so the recovery is much greater, and
Right.
it's great for older people that are not going to be professional athletes.
Right.
You lose a little bit of range of motion, but instead of the ball at socket being one way, they turn it around and they make the ball and socket the other way. So you're never going to lift to be on the top shelf, reach something on the top shelf, and you're going to have difficulty and maybe can't put something in your back pocket. But other than that, you can do everything. Your trainer would know that you went through that surgery and
Right.
you have limited range of motion.
Yes.
Somebody that you just met at a corporate facility, and they could put you right back in surgery again. And
Yes.
let's not forget all of the aged people that are out there with hip replacements, knee replacements, spinal rods, fusion, scoliosis, all of these conditions. Your trainer would know of them. That's
Right.
the person who should be stretching you,
Yes.
not somebody that's going to work at some place for 6 weeks and you're never going to see again. I mean, I don't want to be, it's not that you can't get a good person at one of these corporate places.
Right.
But again, consumer beware.
Yes.
What's your education? What's your experience? Well,
Exactly.
I was washing dishes 2 weeks ago and I came in here and I just started. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not the person you want to be with.
No.
So